Hello, everybody. Cindy Greenway here, editor-in-chief at lawmarketing.com, and today we're talking about the new normal, leaning into the new normal. I'm here with Kimberly Alford Rice, who's the principal of KLM Marketing Associates, and she works with law firms and lawyers to develop practical business development and marketing strategies which lead directly to new clients and increased revenue. So, Kimberly, thanks for joining me here today.
Always a pleasure, Cindy.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, we have a little bit of an interesting topic to cover today, and I know that you've got lots of information, so I want to dive right into it. But essentially, we're talking about women attorneys today, and you shared with me some interesting statistics around law firms comprising 50% of women. But yet under 5% of those women are in leadership roles. So I'd like to sort of tap into that a little bit more and then share some words of wisdom, if you will, with our women attorneys here at Law Marketing that will help them with their careers here in the legal field.
Absolutely, Cindy. It's, you know, with more and more women having joined the workforce, and now they dominate in the law in the law schools and getting out and starting their private practice. What we are seeing in our practice is that women have unique challenges that are not, the needs are not being responded to in the law firms. And so in our, quote, new normal, we are encouraging, we work very closely with women lawyer clients in large and small law firms to help them take control of their own careers. And as we say, we lean in, and that's based on this book by Sheryl Sandberg, who's COO of Facebook, with her book earlier this year, Lean In, Women Work and the Will to Lead. Is an awesome read. But we all are now essentially free agents. If you're a private practicing attorney, you are in effect a business owner. Right. But what we find in our practice is that folks don't think that way. And more so, women don't think that way. I mean, they think that it's kind of like a cradle to the grave type of position, and they don't take into account how the economy has changed. And the economic cycles that drive different areas of practice, the demand and the supply. And so my premise is women, and not only women, but all lawyers, need to take control and develop their own book of business so they can leverage that business to a point of influence and power. And so as an extension, women can now, can represent in an increasing rate positions and taking seats at those management tables where decisions are being made that are directly impacting women, but at this point they have little or no voice to.
Right. So what are some things, like very specific tips or strategies that women can implement to really take control of their careers and really, become their own agent? Absolutely.
Well, one of the things that I embrace, a concept that Sheryl mentions in her book, and we've seen this in our own practice, is become more aware of your internal barriers. And it's interesting because sociologically, we as little girls are taught to, be kind, be nice, be polite, don't ruffle any feathers, don't step on anybody's toes. But that's absolutely contradictory to the working world. Now, that's not to say that we have to be some rough-riding biatch, excuse me, but there's a way to, be comfortable and embrace assertiveness, not being aggressive, but assertive. And so it's a lot in languaging in our communication skills. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the most impactful things that women lawyers can wrap their heads around and exercise as a practical matter is to become aware of their presence and developing the comfort level of asserting themselves. Now, I know many women lawyers, and they have no problem being assertive and even aggressive, but how they're channeling that, and is that being recognized as a positive or a negative within their environment. So the first step is recognition, and the second is don't shy away from outside resources of working on that, on getting a handle on your communication skills or your leadership presence. There's tons of resources available, starting with the bar associations. I mean, that's part of the work that KLA Marketing does. But there are resources that are available that are very tailored to helping women and women lawyers recognize and refine how they present themselves, particularly if you're like me, we're always the only women in the room. You know, and so that that dynamic is, you know, can be problematic and can to some folks can be extremely intimidating, but we don't want, you know, you need to be aware of your power and not to bleed that power. And so you need to be able to feel confident in your space and your presence. So that's one huge long-term thing. And secondly, you know, think of yourself, if you are a woman attorney in a private practice, you are a business owner. So you need to put on that CEO hat versus the I'm coming to work, I'm going to do my work, I'm going to bill my hours, I'm going to get my paycheck, and I'm going to go home. Because if that's the mentality, then go work for the government because, you know, that works. It doesn't really work long term, you know, if you're in private practice to develop your own book of business, because developing your own book of business puts you in a power position where you can stay where you are or you can leave and find a better situation or go on your own. There's lots of options, but you will not ever rise to the level of influence if you don't have your own book.
Right. And that 9 to 5 thing is you're right. If that's what you're looking for, this isn't the place for it. So
it really isn't.
Right. Well, Kimberly, thank you. I'd love to do another video with you on tapping into this a little bit more because I think there's so much more to explore that can really support the women in this legal industry with really, you know, meeting their potential and exceeding their potential. So thank you again for those words of wisdom. And I'd like to put a link to the Leaning book as well so that our subscribers could take a look at that if they'd like to. So I'll tap into that as well. So, Kimberly, thank you. We'll talk again soon. And I know people can find you at, can you remind us of your website, please?
Sure, it's klamarketing.com.
Great. All right. Thanks, Kimberly.